President Akufo-Addo has been addressing the media today. That's what we turn attention to. He says the economy is now far better than in 2016 when he came into office. He was interacting with a section of the media at the Flagstaff House as he accounted for his stewardship.
Of the statistics, the data about the economy are the reason why I'm here. Because things have not gone well. That is why the people of Ghana decided to make a change and bring us and our ideas into office. How have we fared? To me, that is the central issue that we're going to have to account for. How have we fared? We were left in 2016 with the lowest rate of growth of our economy, 3.6% in over a decade. Been nearly for 2 decades. And with it, some fundamental maladjustments of our economic structure. Very high rate of inflation. We're dealing with 15% plus, big fiscal deficit, slow growth of industrial and agricultural activity, and an economy that seemed to be stumbling, even though at the time it was under an IMF program. So the main task, and for me it continues to be the main task, what do we need to do to bring this economy back up again, back into strength, and thereby create the opportunity, the background for rapid growth? Because the nodal point that all of us have to bear in mind, at the end of the day, it is the growth and expansion of our economy that is going to be able to deal with all the issues that we all know about. Youth unemployment, income levels, cost of living. All of these are bundled up in how rapidly and how successfully our economy can grow.
While the president also advised local businesses to expand elsewhere within the sub-region as the economy expands.
Our economy is projected to be one of the fastest growing in the world. And over these last 3 years has been on an average growth of 7%. So that expansion, that space, that opening up of the space that we're looking for is beginning to take place. We now have a current account balance which is in the black. I mean, which is positive. Parts of it is having an impact even on interest rates. All of us know that interest rates in our country are prohibitive, and they have been for years. They've been one of the major stumbling blocks to the growth of the Ghanaian economy. The 28% figures that we inherited are now on a weighted average down to 15.4%. It needs to come down even further if really Ghanaian businesses are to be competitive. They're dealing with competitors in the region and on the continent and around the world who have access to rates of interest of 3, 4, 5, 6%. And then your businesses are going to the banks and they're having to pay 15, 16% rates of interest. These are all major stumbling blocks. But because the trend is in the right place, because the macro fundamentals are trending in the right way, that expansion of our economy we're beginning to see. The claim, and I think it is justified, that Ghana today is the largest recipient of foreign investment in West Africa is a significant advance for us from a time when investment was low.
While the president has also been criticizing Nigerian retailers for suggesting how the GIPC law, which bars foreign participation in the local retail market, should be implemented, he however cautioned Guta not to take the law into their own hands.
A very delicate and difficult issue. But I think some things are obvious. Guta are right in their interpretation of the laws of our country. The laws of our country, until they're changed, have banned foreign people, foreigners, from engaging in the retail trade in our country, as well as in activities in our markets. They've reserved those for Ghanaians. So if people who are not Ghanaians, who are known not to be Ghanaians, are involved in it, people are entitled to get agitated about it. What we need to do, this agitation, is to be more rigid in enforcing the law, more strict about the enforcement of the law. And I'm hoping that the measures that have been put in place with the support of Guta, as they begin to work now, will make it possible, and therefore bring down the decibel level. The Nigerians cannot complain about our enforcement of our own laws. They're doing it in their country. So they cannot complain, and there'll be nothing discriminatory about it. If they're Chinese or the Nigerians and everything, all of them should be part and parcel of the same pot.
President Akufo-Addo addressing the media earlier in the day. We want to turn away from that to other stories we're following for you tonight. The IMF board is charging government to halt any fresh borrowing that would be backed with the country's assets. George Rafi has more on the IMF board's report after its staff completed assessing the economy.
Board's concerns were captured in a new statement on the Article 4 consultations carried out by its staff earlier this year. The executive board of the IMF noted that their proposals are aimed at reducing the debt stock, which is hitting threatening levels. For some, the warning could be described as interesting, coming on the back of the recent Sino-Hydro deal. It has also asked government to do more to improve tax collections to ensure that it has the required funds to support its expenditure. In another development that could also be described as interesting, the IMF board is pushing for an increase in the Bank of Ghana's international reserves and limiting any market interventions, or let's say supporting the market with more dollars to stabilize the Ghana cedi should be discouraged. This report might not be binding because Ghana is no longer under a fund program, but for some, it could hurt government, especially when it is working to go out and borrow on the international market.
Now, the Bank of Ghana is attributing the country's removal from the list of countries blacklisted for money laundering to some measures implemented by government and regulators. Addressing the media at this year's Financial Crime Sensitization Seminar organized by the Bank of Ghana, Head of Anti-Money Laundering Office, Financial Stability Department, George Nkrumah, said this even puts Ghana ahead of its peers within the sub-region.
When you are onboarding any customer, we have something known as KYC, that is, know your customer. In the same vein, when you are employing, you have to do KYE, know your employee, know the person that you are recruiting. Make sure the person, the qualification that he is presenting, you do a background check to see whether the qualification he claims he have is correct. Check from the police CID about any criminal record. Come to Bank of Ghana, Financial Stability Department. We have a database of fraudsters who might have caused some fraud in a bank. Those people, we have their record. So if you are recruiting, you make sure you check from this database so that we don't recycle these fraudsters in the financial system. And we expect each bank to also monitor their staff. The Anti-Money Laundering Act and the guidelines requires that the Anti-Money Laundering Reporting Officer monitors the staff account, look at their lifestyle, whether it matches the salaries, etc., so that we flush out all of these fraudsters from the various banks and from the public. Ghana is currently on the grey list, but we are working our way out. We are currently in the sub-region. We are ahead of all the other countries as far as this money laundering and this in our head of it. We are trying to put in place measures to curb money laundering. But as we come out with policies to curb, they also come out with other ways to beat the system. So all of us will have to be very careful when we are transacting any financial business. We went to the second round of mutual evaluation. We were the first in the sub-region. And the other countries that have had their second round of mutual evaluation, all of us, we did better than them. So we are on track to make sure that we kick out the bad people from our system.
Now, the Western region is set to host Ghana's first ever gold expo to promote businesses within the gold mining value chain. The initiative, born out of a collaboration between Orum Monaco and the Western Regional Coordinating Council, also seeks to synergize efforts at ensuring transparent and responsible mining in Ghana.
Western Regional Minister Ochre Daku-Mensah added that the legal framework will reference areas on gold licensing and the setting up of gold refineries to enhance value addition. He recalled that the Western region has suffered the deadliest consequence of the operations of illegal mining. It is reported that about 91 tons of mercury was dumped into the natural environment, polluting the land and water bodies in 2018 through the operations of illegal mining. Dr. Ochre Daku-Mensah emphasized that the expo will equally target the phasing out of mercury usage in mining and related activities in Ghana, as envisaged in the Minamata Convention on Mercury.
The Ghana Gold Expo is a strategic initiative that seeks to create a synergy among stakeholders, as well as build proper structures to bring transparency in the gold trade to the people of Ghana and the rest of the world. It also seeks to promote a serene business environment where investors have confidence to trade and get returns on their investment. Ghana Gold Expo is part of a total package with an overarching aim to deepen the bilateral cooperation and to promote responsible, meaning zero mercury gold operations in Africa, Asia, North and South America, Europe, and Australia. We therefore deem it necessary to buy into this laudable idea so that we can coordinate our efforts in this regard, especially with the coming on board of community mining initiatives.
Chief Executive Officer of the founder of Orum Monaco, Selim Fendi, detailed that their collaboration will bring about innovation and technology in fast-tracking the fulfillment of Minamata Convention on Mercury, and as well bring about some improvement in the socio-economic lives of the mining communities.
Our goal as Orum Monaco is to train the miners on the good mining practices and not using mercury. Also to deal with all the health and safety issues that all the mining community, especially the artisanal small-scale mining, are facing every day. Also an awareness on the mercury phase-out. That means not to use mercury on the different stages until to arrive at a stage that nobody would use mercury. Also to improve on the working conditions of all the miners. So, as I've mentioned, Ghana was the 40th country that have signed the Minamata Convention. Now, in 2019, there are over 128 countries. I'll say some numbers which are not nice, but they are for basically all the countries that produce gold. Ghana has used 91 tons of mercury even last year. Unfortunately, 48 tons went in the air and 28 tons were on the land.
While still related to mining, General Manager and Vice President of Chirano Gold Mines, Adriano Sobera, has touted the mining firm's high score for local content delivery in its activities. He was speaking to Joy Business on the sidelines of the 2019 Sustainable and Social Investment Awards in Accra. Mr. Sobera, who is also second vice chairman of the Chamber of Mines, hinted the company will continue to operate in the country as gold prices show positive signs on the market. There's more in this report.
30 companies received various categories of awards as part of this year's Sustainability and Social Investment Awards. There were also special recognition awards for some distinguished personalities. International gold firm Chirano Mines was recognized as being the best local content skills development company. General Manager and Vice President of Chirano Gold Mines, Adriano Sobrera, touted the company's local content agenda.
For us, it's about wanting to do it in your heart. We do it not because the agencies tell us or government tell us to do it, or even the regulator. We do it because it's the right thing, because it's our core value within Kinross. We believe, and as our parent company does, Kinross, that when you work in a country, you give as much back as what you can to that country. So we've always been up there. We're always in the very high 90s. And out of the 19 items, we probably, out of all 19, we the best or the second best every year.
He noted that but for the recent pickup in gold prices on the world market, Chirano Gold Mines could have rounded up operations in the country.
A company like Chirano, we've extended our life of mine. We were going to close in 2019, and we no longer will. Every year we keep on extending, so we deplete the reserves for the year, and we have more reserves than what we've depleted on the table. And that is what it does by controlling our costs, and this has been one of the major drivers at Chirano Gold Mine.
Adriano Sobrera received the SSI Foreign Personality Award for his commitment to developing local communities.
While away from mining, the executive director of the UK Ghana Chamber of Commerce, Ajua Chiama, says the recent city depreciation will help businesses prepare towards any further depreciation. At the UK Ghana Chamber of Commerce 9 Lessons and Carols in Accra, she outlined the performance of the UK Chamber in the year.
As the year gradually draws to a close, the executive director of the UK Ghana Chamber of Commerce, Ajoba Achiama, expressed mixed reaction on how business has fared. She said businesses have experienced a positive and a negative reaction in the market. She was, however, optimistic of a smooth business environment next year.
And some of the mixed reactions have been that there's been improvements in some of the engagements with the government agencies, the regulatory agencies, those that have digitized their services. They've seen shortening of the turnaround time, so that's been positive. I can give examples like with the coming into existence of Terminal 3 at the Tema Harbour, for example. There's been some positive feedback, but there's also been some negative feedback, so it's not all been positive.
She further commented on the cedi's stability in the coming year.
At this time of the year, the cedi generally drops against the major currencies, and so it's to be expected. But the thing is that when businesses forecast, they plan for this as well, so it's anticipated that in the coming year, things will stabilize.
The UK Ghana Chamber of Commerce held its 9 Lessons and Carols in Accra. Alberto Bisius report for Joy Business.
In other news tonight, the National Petroleum Authority has selected the Yendi municipality in the northern region for the pilot of the cylinder recirculation model expected to commence soon. According to the authority, other places have also been identified for the rollout of the program within the region. Martina Bugri sent this report.
The Chief Executive Officer for the MPA, Hassan Tampuli, disclosed this at the Gbewa Palace in Yendi when he led a team from the MPA to brief the Yana about the cylinder recirculation model and to inspect the station which will be used as the distribution point for the program. He said the MPA chose Yendi because of its vantage point to serve the rest of the...
And in due course, we'll be visiting a station here in Yendi where we hope to use the station as the starting area for the rolling out. We selected Yendi for very good reason, because Yendi is more or less the capital of the eastern corridor of the northern region, and is a gateway to Bushegu municipality, Karaga districts, Cheriponi, Saboba, Zabzugu Tatale, Zabzugu Tatale, Bimbala, Wulensi, Pandai, and even to some extent Salaga districts, all in different, one district in the Northeast region, one district in the Savannah region, and the rest in the old northern region. So Yendi is vantagely positioned to be able to do all distribution as I've mentioned. It is also good to put on record that Yendi is the distribution point for the distribution of products such as Guinness and then Coca-Cola products here to all these parts of the country. So it's a natural location for us to commence the pilot phase of this cylinder recirculation.
All right, and that's it for Business Live tonight. There's more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. As we head into the weekend, you can get up to date on all of our stories we are covering for you on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. And do have a great weekend. Goodbye.